Okay, so everybody can see my screen. So I'm still going to use this base sketch for what I want. But now what I want to do is I want to break a few things out. And I want to try to figure it out. So I'm going to do what was called edge-to-edge modeling. So I'm not going to overbuild and trim things back on this specific model. Did everybody get a chance to watch the video? If you haven't, I highly recommend that you watch it. That with this is going to really help you. If you're not watching the videos, then you're going to struggle. So I'm going to start a new sketch. And part of it is because I want to use these as reference. So what I'm going to do is on the right plane, oops, first I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab that. You know what? I'm not going to start a new sketch. I'm just going to blow that away. Oh no! So I'm going to delete that. And I'll delete that. So what I'm going to do is on this sketch, I'm going to have this wrap around and round it a little bit more. So this is where I want to start building things around. But I think I'm just going to stop it here so that I can control that in a separate surface. Because again, as I'm going, I'm thinking, well, what is going to be more complicated? What is going to be simpler? If I come back and I look at my board again, I might want to tweak this area on its own. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to build this as a separate surface with separate curves and tweak just that area. It's kind of like what Haley did with hers here. This is going to be a complicated area, so she can kind of just build onto that. So what I'm going to do is I know that this thing has width. I'm only going to build it in half. Let's turn on our planes. So I have this curve here, and that's going to be the top peak of my curve. So what I want to do is I need to set my secondary curves. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to define how wide my model is going to be. So I'm going to insert reference geometry after I get out of my sketch. And what this is going to do is it's going to define how wide it is, proportion-wise, as a half. So if I look at it from the front, I want it to be a little thicker than that. Let's go 300. And we're going to say that's what it's going to be. It's going to be thick, so I still want it to be sleek. Now, I'm going to come in, I'm going to create a sketch. So we saw that in the other item, I changed my mind and I was going to make a hard edge along here. So I'm kind of doing this on the fly. But what I know then is for in here, I've got that top curve, but then I need to create this curve as well. How do I create that curve? Well, I've got my new sketch I'm going to do. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, well, you know what? That's that curve. I'm going to come in and I'm going to create the sketch that is going to define that. And it's going to go to there. The tips are going to be complicated, so I think I'm going to kind of do this and add all the tips down at the end. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to say that's there. What I want to do is I want to trim back these curves now to be where I want them to be used. Now, as we talk about surfaces, you'll see me doing a few things where I'm not drawing a curve from here to here. I want to make sure that you know, they're somewhat on a perpendicular angle to the curve. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to say that's the curve I want. We're going to come back. You can kind of see, it's hard to see, but what I'll do now is at the start of this point, and again, we all know how many planes we have to create here. I'm going to come in, I'm going to go Insert, Reference Geometry, Plane. We're going to go to this point here. Oh no, we're going to go to that point. Now, I've got my profile curves that I'm going to create. What I now need to do is I need to create the curve that I'm going to sweep along, that I'm going to use this edge and this edge to go with. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to sketch on this plane. Now, I am doing this surface in half. So what I need to do is draw my spline, and I need to be making sure that it's tangent at the center. So for this, I am just going to use a spline tool, and I'm just going to draw 2 points because I want it to be very simple. If we remember, I'm on this sketch, so we want to start using our relationships because I want this point to be on this line. So if I click the 2, I want to use the command pierce. What that means is it's going to snap right to that line, and we know that it's connected. Same as what we're going to do over here. We're going to snap there, and we're going to pierce. Now, here's the trick. We want to make sure that this is tangent. And I'm going to keep this simple this time, but next time I'll show you another trick that you really want to use while you're doing surfacing. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm going to draw a straight line, and then I'm going to make sure it's perfectly horizontal. And we saw what we were doing before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this curve, I'm going to snap it to this one, and I'm going to make it tangent. So now you can see I've started to get the control over this. I can also come in and add things. Now, I am not, nor do I want you guys to start building surfaces like this, where you've got your radius in there. That's a very bad habit. If you're going quick and dirty, you know, sometimes that's not bad. But for this, I want you guys to not learn some nasty habits. We'll put these types of radiuses in later, because it is more complicated. So again, I'm just going to do that. I know right now I've got a pretty flat highlight here. Part of that is because of how far this is pulled out, but I can always adjust it. But you can see here, it's always going to stay tangent. Oh, let's undo that. So for this method, I don't know if I'm liking this because that's flat. Okay, so let's go back. And again, I don't want to necessarily use more points. And I got to try not to be too overly anal here. Okay, so we've got that first one. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to build this surface that's going to sweep down into here. So if I go to my side profile, I'm going to have it end here to make things so that I can wrap it around here because I don't want to have it too tight down in here. So same process that you're going to go through. You're going to grab this, insert reference geometry. Oops, get out of my sketch. Insert reference geometry plane. Now, the reason that I am doing a boundary surface is because I don't want to just do a simple sweep. Simple sweep means I can only control it back here. We're working on speed forms that are a little bit more complex, highlight related. I want to be able to modify and edit things. I'm going to do something here, so we'll go there. We're going to do a sketch. Normally I recommend that you guys do the sketches in planar view, but I'm just going to cheat here because I want to go a little bit quicker. Now, another reason why I want to make it pierce is because I don't want to, at some point, accidentally move my curve. So this is where having your relationships is very important. Okay. So I'm going to look at that. Again, I'm going to build my curves. We're going to do a boundary surface. Remember, we want to select the edge, and we want to select the same edge down in here. If not, what happens is you get that twist. So if I just select the line anywhere, you get that twist because it's trying to loft from this corner to that corner. I always, too, when I'm doing my boundary surfaces, my start and end are the direction that I would drag my Bondo or I would sculpt in. I don't think anybody here, as you're trying to get this round form, and maybe I'm wrong, would sculpt it this way and try to rotate it and then try to rotate it this way. You might start from the top and go to the bottom. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's how I do it. So I want to go in the direction that I expect the highlights to go in. Oh, you can see here that this curve is considerably longer than this curve. And that's fine because it'll cut itself short. So when I go here to here, you can see here it selects the whole curve. That's fine. It builds the surface all the way across. But when I select this other curve where it stops, it'll automatically have that surface stop there. It also helps if I go back and I turn on my shading. So here now we've got it so that it's flat at the top. It's starting to curve down more in the bottom. Not sure if I like that, but that's where I'm going to start with for the sake of this model. So then I would be doing the same thing down in here. So I'm trying to get that top base surface built the way I want it. Doing this top one and then going down to the bottom. So I would still come back, use the exact same potentially sketches. So I'm going to show those. They're supposed to show up. There we go, that's the one I wanted to show. So I'm still going to build this next one. Now, I'm going to want it to start and stop at the exact same point, which means that I can use the same planes. On the back, I think I'm going to have it stop a little bit shorter, so I might not want to use that plane. Does this make sense where we're going? Questions?
Yeah, Travis. So from your 3D sketch, it looks like that top surface kind of converges to more of a point to kind of create that shape. But you kind of modeled it just now, like with it parallel.
Yep.
I'm wondering, would you like then cut that surface to kind of make it converge more in the back?
Yes, I would probably, as I'm looking at this, I might do a couple different steps. I might come back and trim this back to get that angle. And even then, once I have that edge, I may not like this overall form, so I might go back and rebuild the curve from that new edge.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make,
Yeah,
does that kind of...
question about making that form converge like you had drawn it, you would just do a kind of a trim using like a spline along the surface and then trim that surface?
Yep. If I go back, another option...
Because I used to do like projected curves to make like a three-dimensional spline and then just use that, but this seems like a faster way to do it.
So yeah, you can use the three-dimensional splines. That's a classic. Here's how you build a mouse tutorial. I find it can be a little bit, for me, a little bit complicated to go back and control those curves.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest disadvantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a neat curve that, hey, this is my top. It's kind of for engineers. Hey, I like my top view. I draw a top view, then I draw a side view. Well, how do I get that top view and this side view? Oh, here's a feature for you. That's how that started, and it's awesome. It's just when you go back, if you want to tweak your form, it can become a little messy. Other questions? Okay, so here's what I want everybody to work on. Let me... Oh, it doesn't... Okay. So one, What else should I add here? Of course, you can go as far as you want. Um, Nathan's already progressed a fair bit. You can see he's got his base surface built. Based off of that, he's gone in and refined it even more. Sometimes, again, it's quicker to refine it through your sketch. You know, oh, here's my form. What don't I like about this? Well, let me use that to clean it up a little bit more. So you can see the evolution. Here's his first sketch. I'm going to say his model looks quite accurate to the first pass. There's obviously some issues, you know, but it's like a tracing paper. You might have to do it a couple times. From there, I'm going to assume, Nathan, that you sketched over top of your 3D model?
Yep.
Okay. If not, I was going to say, damn. But you can see he's refined it a little bit further to get those shapes that he wants, to get it a little bit cleaner. So now he's got a little bit more form. You can see that here he had a pretty flat surface, still roughing it in. He's probably going to go back and using these edges, and this is kind of what I was just talking about, Jeffrey. I'm going to get that first preliminary surface roughed in, but then I might go back and redo curves and use those edges to rebuild that surface to get the way I want. Looks like you've smoothed out the front here. You know, so again, it's rough it in, evaluate it. Where do I want to refine it? So just like clay modeling, you've all done clay modeling. You rough it in, you step back, you look at it, you dive back in and you refine. You start big, you go small, you go back out to big. Does that, oh, is it, oh, awesome, Kobe, you rock. Oh, you even corrected my spelling mistakes. Nice. Does that, is that clear for what I want you to work on? Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. It does not seem like much. There is a lot of work in there. You know, I want to see effort. You know, if you're struggling, toss it up on the screen. You know, on the mural board, say, Chevis, check out the mural board. You know, communicate with me. This stuff is considerably more difficult than solid modeling. If you're not asking questions and you're trying to fight this on your own, you're going to struggle, and it's going to get to the point where you're like, you'll just throw your hands up in the air. So I would say, Kobe, put down a due date. I want to see things I want to see things when I wake up in the morning on Monday, so I can take a look and have feedback prepared for the class. Because Tuesday it's hard for me to look at stuff since I'm down there all day in the other class, and I don't want to cheat one class for the other class. For those of you that missed the deliverables, I'm not going to harp on it throughout the semester, but it's gonna hurt you. So awesome. Questions? Comments? Is the mural board working a little bit better to give feedback at the beginning of the class? Okay. As I mentioned, my goal is to improve upon some of the things that were pointed out in that survey. So if it's working, let me know. Or if I don't hear, I'll assume that's working. If it's not working, then complain. Because like I've said before, if you don't tell me that something's not working, I'm not fixing it. I assume I'm perfect. which my wife will tell you I am. She must not be able to hear me. Okay. Questions, anybody, before we hop off?
Travis, do you still want us to email you files as well? Like, should I email my slides to you for today?
No, I can see them up on the screen. So the reason, yeah, I'll let you know if I want you to email me stuff. Good question though. So nothing needs to be sent today. If you are struggling with a surface though, and you want to meet or have an hour conversation, send me the model in a email or whatever size you need to do it, and outline, what you're struggling with. And when I say outline what you're struggling with, ideally type it out in the body of the email, but then do a quick sketch like this. It helps me to better understand versus me doing the WTF when I open up the model and saying, okay, what am I supposed to look at? Are you guys having fun with this project so far?
Yes, actually, yeah.
Who said yes, actually?
Pietro.
Sounds like you weren't too sure about it in the beginning.
Well, no, I like speed forms and stuff. I just have a tough time with CAD modeling sometimes.
Yeah, no, we'll get you there. So, awesome. If there's no more questions, I'm going to hop off. You guys can go at her.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, Travis.
Yep.
Thanks, Travis.
Yes,
Take care.
Bye.